Beatles and Let It Be, the all-familiar Beatle tune, right? And right before that, Barclay James Harvest, a song dedicated to the Beatles, and it's a song entitled Titles, obviously taking all titles and lines and lyrics from Beatles tunes and dedicating it to the Beatles. In order to prime you up to listen to a very interesting show on Full Circle today about the Beatles, and we have a man who knows a great deal about the Beatles. For 11 years, he was their road manager, close confidant, and obviously best friend, and who right now is in the process of writing a book about the Beatles entitled 200 Miles to Go. And the guest is Mal Evans. Mal, welcome to Full Circle.
Hello, Ken.
I guess the logical place to start is the beginning. How did you first meet up with the Beatles?
I was a telephone engineer in Liverpool, and window shopping one day. I went down the Cavern.
Right.
Down Matthew Street where the Cavern was.
Infamous.
And I heard this wonderful music coming from under my feet. Paid a shilling, went in, became a firm fan, and that was it. That was about 1960.
What was the Cavern like? Was it similar to what the Troubadour is in Los Angeles, or was it just a...
Oh no, it was a cellar. It was a fruit warehouse.
Right.
The cellar of the fruit warehouse was dome ceilings, very low, with pillars.
At that time, the group included whom?
When I first saw them, it was Pete Best on drums.
Right. And Ringo came in later in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. By the way, you can call us at 885-3089 and 885-3090. And if you have any questions for Mal Evans, he'll be more than happy to answer them. And we do have one call right now, and he's been hanging on for about 10 minutes, so why don't we get with it? Good afternoon. You're on the air with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle on KCSN.
Hi, Mr. Evans.
Hi.
I was wondering about the breakup of the Beatles.
Yes?
Would you say it was tended more towards a personal conflict between John and Paul, or do you think it was more in the way of Yoko and Linda pushing it?
It was neither, actually. I think it was a natural progression for the group. The group became too small for the individual talents, I feel. For example, when George made his first album, he had like 25 tracks on it. Now, for him to get all his songs out on Beatle albums would take many years, because he only had a couple each year, you know. So it was a natural progression, I feel.
So it was bound to happen either way?
Yeah, I think so.
Whoops. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I was also wondering, when they took Pete Best out of the group,
Yes?
if that was like how, I think it was like the Beatles, it was their idea, and how they like kind of talked Brian Epstein into making the decision, as in like telling Pete. I was wondering, do you think that was like more fair to Brian?
But not blaming Brian for taking Pete Best out of the group.
Because I feel it, from what I've read and things, I heard that he did get a lot of the blame, even though it wasn't his fault.
Oh, sure. Managers do tend to get a lot of the blame. They're the bad guys. No, once again, it was there came a point in time when Pete didn't fit the image of the group, and they got Ringo in.
Wasn't Pete later offered a group of his own?
I have no idea. I lost track of Pete Best.
Oh, okay.
I know George got a bloody nose in the Cavern the first night Ringo played there.
Yeah, I read about that, too. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
As long as we're on the subject about the breakup now, a lot of things I've been wondering about, including the, I guess, the invasion of Alan Klein and ABCO and the John Eastman thing, I guess, which certainly led to some, if not bitterness in the beginning, the eventual separation of the group.
Didn't help the situation at all, you know.
Yeah, what was the situation there?
Well, three of them wanted Alan Klein for a manager, and Paul didn't.
And eventually Alan Klein
Is out.
is out anyway. Now, what is the situation with Apple Records today? We heard that George Harrison's album Extra Texture would be the last release, and then John came out with Shaved Fish, which was a best of type album.
Yeah, they're still tied with Apple till next year, I believe.
So there will be future releases on Apple.
Yeah.
Right.
But when they all finish their record deals with BMI and Capitol, they'll go to their own label, I guess.
Right. And George is
With Dark Horse.
A&M and Dark Horse distribution by A&M. We just played Let It Be, and you've got an interesting story about Let It Be, about how it developed.
How it developed. We were meditating with Maharishi in Rishikesh, which is North India. It's in the foothills of the Himalayas. And they were spending many hours a day meditating. And one day, I appeared before Paul like a vision, standing there smiling, saying, "Let it be, let it be." And when we got back to London, he told me about it. We'd just been to a recording session, and I'd driven him home from the session. He lived just around the corner from EMI. And we're sitting in the car. It was a dark, rainy night in London. And he turned to me and said, "You know, this song, Let It Be, it was originally called Mother Malcolm, but people might not understand, so do you mind if I call it Mother Mary?"
So that was how Let It Be.
Yeah.
Okay. The number's here, by the way, 885-3089, 885-3090, if you'd like to ask Mal any questions about the Beatles, past, present, possibly future. He has all that information stacked up in his big brain.
Somewhere in the depths.
Beatle fans are unique in a way, and I guess you couldn't really deny that. And last year in New York City, they gathered at a sort of a Beatle fest.
Oh, this year too?
This year too, at the Commodore Hotel.
Right.
And you were there. Why don't you tell us about that?
I was the guest speaker for the weekend, which was very exciting. Oh, it was fantastic. All the audience was obviously biased toward the Beatles, and they knew of me, so that was very nice. And it was wonderful the way they treated me. It was like being a Beatle for a weekend. It was really fascinating. People asking for autographs and taking pictures. And it was so nice to be able to share some of the things I feel for a group that I really love, you know, and loved for all those years. I was a fan for 3 years before I joined them, so it was really a dream of a lifetime.
What's involved in being the road manager of a group like the Beatles? It's just not reserving hotel rooms and things like that.
When you get to the status of the Beatles, they have an office that handles, and travel agencies that handle all the bookings and hotels and accommodation and everything. Road manager, I was basically, did anything for them they needed. I mean, I set up the equipment, tested everything, you know, the security, checked the security. On tours in England, I've ended up 4 o'clock in the morning washing stage shirts and polishing boots because I wanted the group to look their best. You know, I was so proud of the boys that I'd do anything for them. You know.
So you've developed obviously a close relationship with all four.
Oh yes, very close.
How was it originally to become close to them? Was it a difficult situation in the beginning?
Oh yes, you slide into those relationships. You can't force them, you know. And I just did what I had to do, and did it well, I hope. In fact, I did more than I was expected to do. I made it cross my own back, you know. We do sessions in EMI, and I'd be cooking dinners, or, well, not dinners, but eggs and beans, 3 o'clock in the morning, and making sandwiches and things for them. Really, just wanted them to be able to have no worries about anything except making music and being the group.
Right now, you're doing some producing as well, right?
That's fascinating. Oh, it's been such a beautiful week, such an up week.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a second, but what I wanted to ask you originally is being in the studio with a group like the Beatles, obviously you pick up certain techniques, and obviously you pick up things that would help you in a future production type career. Is that right?
Oh, yes, I hope so. I hope time will show that it did.
Yeah. Who was...
I love producing. It's a very creative side of life.
Was there one force in the group or one person in the group who could best be described as using the studio to his best ability? In other words,
I think John more than anybody, maybe, if I get what you're saying right.
Right. I would have thought of perhaps Paul, the way he overdubs or did, especially side 2 of Abbey Road, as a matter of fact. Such an incredible production job on that. And I believe George Martin was perhaps credited with it, but I'm sure
George Martin did a wonderful job with the Beatles. He really did, you know. In the early days, he was a strong force in their music because they needed someone to pull it together. You need that somebody in the box, that one person who can just pull all 4 together. And George did wonderful.
How much of a say would he have? He'd say, "You're going to do this"?
No, it was never that. It was always a joint effort, you know. Why don't you do this? Or
and he would explain it to them in that degree.
Yeah, or they'd explain it to him, you know.
Right.
This is what we've got. And you throw ideas into the pot, you know. It was nice.
Keith Moon did an album just recently released a couple of months ago, and you were quoted as saying, and I remember this, that you were very pleased with In My Life, the version that he did.
Oh, yes, I was indeed. That's, we did 2 of John's tracks on the album.
Right.
In My Life and Miss L, which is the 1964, 1974 Lemon, you know.
Right.
And I sent both mixes to John, and I got a letter back, little white card printed, saying that In My Life was the best version of In My Life.
Incredible,
you know.
just incredible.
Yeah, I was so pleased with that.
Why don't we listen to that right now? In My Life, of course, John Lennon lead vocals, and before that we heard Keith Moon's version from his new album. Keith Moon, of course, the drummer with The Who. Why did he decide to record a solo album after all these years with Roger Daltrey and
Well, it happened one night at Ringo's session in Los Angeles here, and we arrived back at his hotel rather drunk, and Keith was bemoaning his face, saying, all these people making solo albums, I'd love to do one. Would you produce me? So the very same day we went into the studio and did one.
Incredible. John might like
You can't be the original, though, can you?
I was just going to say that. John might like Keith's version, but there is nothing better than the original version.
No, it's beautiful.
Just an incredible song from an incredible album. Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, Magical Mystery Tour, 4 albums in a row, yet all of them completely different. Did they do that intentionally, or did they do that intentionally?
No, I don't think they changed styles or anything intentionally. It was a growing process. Trying, just learning and growing and getting better all the time.
And some of them were concepts, like Sgt. Pepper. By the way, I should remind you, 885-3089, 885-3090, if you'd like to say hello or just ask a question about the Beatles, and Mal certainly will answer them. And like I was saying, Sgt. Pepper, question I wanted to ask about that. There was speculation at the time that Sgt. Pepper was released, that the Beatles wanted to change their name. Is that true at all?
No.
Because everybody was saying they want to be called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and then you go to the cover on the album where they have Beatles in a funeral-style fashion.
Oh, that was all the time that Paul was supposed to be dead. There was a lot of tales.
Right, which we were going to get into because that is very, very interesting.
There's explanations for all those things, and they're so simple people won't believe them.
The cover of Sgt. Pepper was just an incredible cover, an incredible concept.
Oh, do you know what? Paul pointed this out to me after the album was out. I'm a great Presley fan.
Right.
The one person who wasn't on the cover was Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley. There were so many people on the cover of that album.
For that. Because we all got people together that we liked to be on the cover, It was a family affair.
Right. Remember the chair over on the right side, where it says "Welcome, Rolling Stones," and then over here it was the Good Guys. Who were they referring to? Do you remember?
The Good Guys.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I was wondering because I remember back east, the Good Guys. There was this radio station in New York called WMCA.
Yeah, may well have been there.
And I was just wondering on that because at top 40 time, that was the station in New York City, aside from ABC, of course, which is still going strong today. Magical Mystery Tour, our next step.
That was conceived in Denver.
In Denver.
Places. Yeah.
Incredible.
Jane Asher was on tour with the Old Big Company.
Right.
And it was her 21st birthday, so Paul said to me, you fancy going to Denver and put a party on for Jane? So we did. And while we were there, we spent a lot of time together just rapping and being quiet with each other, whatever, And the concept of Magic Mystery Tour came out.
Right. After they had done Help and A Hard Day's Night, they did this one completely on their own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
That was another family affair. Oh, that was a lot of fun, yeah. A lot of headaches on it, too.
What were they? I mean, what were some of the problems involved?
Well, for example, the race around the airport.
Right.
I mean, half an hour before the start, they decided, like, a rugby team or a team of Vickers, can we get costumes? It was spontaneous.
Very spontaneous. Did they use Hollywood filmmakers at all, or were they...
No.
Friends of the family?
Friends of the family. And they all had a go at filming. It really was a do-it-yourself affair, and it's great, I think.
That was broadcast over the BBC, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was broadcast black and white, which didn't do it any good at all. Numbers like flying. So they got slated in England. More than it deserved.
Yeah, the color concepts in that movie were extraordinary, yet it had to be broadcast on black and white on BBC, and...
It was a light-hearted affair. There was a good vehicle for songs.
Right.
And that's what it was, basically.
And then they released a whole bunch of songs on the album that were released as singles before that. And do we have a call there? We do have a call. And good afternoon. You're on Full Circle with Ken Doyle on KCSN and Mal Evans, of course.
Hi, how are you?
Good afternoon.
I would just was wondering what would be what's your opinion of the lasting popularity of the Beatles now that they are on their own against the lasting popularity of Frank Sinatra? Will they carry on? Will they be known?
I think they will carry on, yes. I mean, I wouldn't put Frank Sinatra down. He's a great artist, but they have that same charisma about them, you know, that will go on forever. I mean, they've got a solid core of fans, I feel, that will carry their records to the grave.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I should let you know that this is 88.5 KCSN in Northridge, and our phone number here, 885-3089, 885-3090. Mal Evans is here to answer all your questions about the Beatles. A fact that's not known by too many people. Sgt. Pepper and Fixing a Hole.
You're going to pin me down, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Put you up against the wall.
I wrote Sgt. Pepper and Fixing a Hole with Paul. It was at a point when he was living in his house in London. His housekeeper had left, and I lived with him for 4 months. And on top of the house, he had a small music room, you know. And we used to sit at the piano, and that's when we wrote Sgt. Pepper. It was originally Dr. Pepper until we found out it was a train name in America.
That's right.
So we wrote the two of them.
Why don't we hear both of those cuts right now? Fixing a Hole. I just love that song. And Sgt. Pepper right before that. And Mal Evans wrote those tunes with Paul.
Yes,
Wow.
gives me thrills every time I hear that.
But he never got credit on the album.
Well, Lennon McCartney was hot at the time, and Paul was saying, you know, let's not add another name to it, do you mind? And I was saying, well, okay. As long as it was done, you know.
I guess when it's under the auspices of a Paul McCartney, you can't complain all that much.
Oh, I just was so glad that it was done, you know.
Yeah, I assume that was the time, the period in the Beatles' careers where they were really people were beginning to really take them seriously. These guys, originally they said, well, it's just a fad, it can't last that long. But Sgt. Pepper was such an artistic success.
Yes, it was. And it was the first concept thing, you know, that was all tied together.
Right, I remember right after Sgt. Pepper was released, Simon and Garfunkel released, I can't remember the name of the album, and I remember listening to an interview where they were kind of teed off that the Beatles beat them to it.
Oh, right.
Kind of
I didn't read it.
a concept album, you know, it was kind of humorous, shall we say. We do have a call, and good afternoon. You're on KCSN with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I got a question about Pete Best, the old drummer. What is he doing now, if he's doing anything?
I've no idea what he's doing now. He's still in Liverpool. He's got a family. He was working in a bakery, but I feel that he's moved from them. But I don't know exactly what he's doing now.
I guess he has a lot of bitter feelings about being dumped.
I'm sure he has, yes. A lot went down, you know.
Sure. And when the Beatles wrote a tune, how did they start? You know, like ballads like Blackbird and everything. How did they start? You know, where do they start?
Oh, they start off with, I mean, I used to go round to their houses and socialize if we weren't working, and they'd say, hey, man, we got a new song here, do you want to hear it? And they'd pick up an acoustic guitar and just sing it, you know. And it would take it from there. They'd take it into the studio sometimes with just a couple of verses, and the others would join in and write it with him.
That's something. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for calling. Mal, do you play an instrument? Whoa.
Do I play an instrument?
Do you play an instrument?
Oh, I play very bad guitar.
Bad guitar, huh?
Yeah,
So
two chords.
would you call yourself musically oriented?
Oh, musically oriented, yes, but not guitarist.
Yeah. You're familiar, you can write music,
No,
per se.
no.
You can't. When you do write a song, you concentrate on the lyrics.
Yeah, I'm a lyricist.
Yeah, who writes your music?
I've been writing with an Indian gentleman called Cavern, and he was 11 years old when he conducted his own symphony, played by the London Philharmonic in Germany at a big convention, you know.
11
He
years
won the
old.
first prize with it. He's the musician.
Okay, we do have another call. Good afternoon, you're on the air on KCSN with Ken Doyle and Mal Evans.
Good afternoon. I have a question about the Sgt. Pepper album.
Yes?
I've been listening to KCSN, and they keep telling us, or keep telling the people, bring in a copy of the English copy, and you'll hear something on that copy that you will not hear on the American copy. I wonder if you can tell me what that was. I don't know if it was on the end of the day in the life or what.
I think I've only heard the English copy, more than likely.
So he's not familiar with the American copy.
What was it they were talking about?
Oh, a couple of nights ago I was listening to the station. They were playing Beatles, and they said, anybody has the English copy, you live near the station, run it on down, and we'll play something for you that you won't hear on the American copy.
You didn't hear it, though?
No, I guess nobody brought one in, and I was wondering what that was.
Well, until I heard it too, I couldn't really say.
That's a very difficult album to get a hold of at this particular point in time in this country.
Yeah.
I wonder if that can be ordered.
I'm sure they could be.
Yeah.
Can albums be ordered from England on the EMI label, or?
Well, normally they have import shops. Big record stores have import sections.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Another tune that you wrote, and this was most recently, was with Bobby Purvis,
Oh, Splinter, yes.
Splinter, and
Yeah.
it's called Lonely Man. What was the story behind that?
The story behind that was, I was managing Splinter at the time, this a couple of years ago,
Right.
and they were staying at my house outside London, and Bobby came down, and I was out at the Beatles session one night and came home, and he'd started to play the piano, which he didn't play very well, and I sort of put him down a little bit, said I didn't like the song. So the next night I came home, and he's just picked up the guitar, so I thought, to make things better, I'll join in, and sort of took over a little bit. And Lonely Man was the result of it, you know.
And that's on the new album. We're going to listen to it right now. That is a Mal Evans, Bobby Purvis tune called Lonely Man from the brand new Splinter album. And it's also from a film. Oh, by the way, let me interject here that it was produced by George Harrison. And it's from a film entitled Little Malcolm and His Struggle Against the Eunuchs. Can you tell us something about that?
It was a play they saw about 8 years previous to making the film a couple of years ago. And they loved the play and the people in it. And George wanted to make a film, so he did. It was produced for the film.
Has it ever been released over here?
Never been released generally, no. It went to a couple of film festivals and won prizes, you know.
Is there a chance that it might be released?
I hope so. It's an interesting film. About the north of England.
You can be looking for that, folks. We do have a call at 885-3089 and 885-3090. Those are our numbers here. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle on KCSN.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, love.
I was wondering if you knew if and when Paul McCartney would be coming to L.A. to do a concert.
Oh, funny you should ask me that. Because only today I was speaking to Paul, who's in Los Angeles passing through, and he's coming back in April
Oh, really?
to do a tour of America, he told me.
Do you know how many nights he'd be playing? It would be pretty popular.
Oh, I'm sure it would. I don't know how many nights he's going to play, but he's looking forward to it. He's just on a tour of Australia, the Far East.
I also have one more question.
Yes?
I went to see Tommy, and I was standing in line with a couple guys who were telling me that they knew that Paul had filed for divorce against Linda.
No.
Well, they said they were in the business, and they really had me going.
Sure, they're in the business. They'll try and pull anybody with tales like that. You'd be surprised the rumors that go around.
Huh. Well, I really appreciate you answering my question. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you, too. Bye-bye.
About the prospective Paul McCartney concert, do you have any idea what kind of a hall he would play in? Would it be the forum-type hall?
It's going to be indoors, you know.
It would
type of
be.
thing.
That's much better than an
I think
open-air
small,
concert.
yeah, smaller. We can get, he's really interested in getting good sound, I feel, you know.
You can't do that if you do an Elton John
No.
Dodger Stadium
He
type
wants the
concert.
people to hear what he's playing, you know, put on a good show for them.
Great. That would be interesting, very interesting. Splinter, you're credited with the discovery of them when they were...
Yes. In Newcastle, well, they were with a group called Half-Breed, and they sent a tape into Apple, and I went up to Newcastle to meet these boys and watch them play, and I got off the train, and I was thinking, how will they ever know who I am, you know? And these two guys, Bill and Bob, came up and said, "Hi, Mal." And he said, "We recognize you from all the Beatles photographs, you know, the Beatle book."
Right.
We used to have a monthly magazine in England,
Right.
which I used to write for and take photographs, because in the studio I was invisible, you know, you were so close. Just take some good photographs. You'll see in the book.
They're on Dark Horse Records now, and which is owned by Harry Georgeson. Harry Georgeson. Why does George Harrison use Harry Georgeson? And what was the other one? J. Raj.
The need for nom de plumes, aliases, arises from the fact that if you work for one record company and you record on somebody else's company,
Right.
you have to get releases, and sometimes it takes a long time. It's a bit of a hassle, you know.
So it's just to avoid all the red tape.
Yes.
Okay, we've got another call. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle on KCSN.
My name is Dan Rich. The only thing I want to say is the Beatles were the most fantastic band I've ever heard.
That's two of us think that too, Dan.
Unbelievable band.
They were
And,
beautiful.
You know, I just wish, you know, someday maybe they could get back together. If not, I still got every album they have to remember them by.
Dan, that's lovely to hear you say that, because I've got shivers when I heard you say that, because I believe it, and nothing would make me prouder or more pleased to hear them play again.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way.
Hey, Dan, what was it in the Beatles that was so extraordinary? I don't think anybody can put it in words, really.
I feel it was a sharing with the audience. You know, it was a common gathering place for people who share the same interest. Just for that moment in time, they could all share something, you know.
Right.
What do you feel, Dan?
It was a quality, a certain quality in the way they mixed. I mean, it was just four people that had such a quality that could give it to the people.
And that's where Ringo added that quality when he joined the group. He was the final ingredient to the cake, you know.
By all means. By all means. Excellent.
And four nice people.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Dan. Now, we were talking a little bit before about reading between the lines. Everybody wants to interpret a Beatles song. Take it for this, take
That
it for
really
that.
annoys me sometimes, Ken.
Yeah.
You know, the people put them down or they interpret them the wrong way, a bad way, you know. Hey Jude, I heard about somebody the other day was saying Hey Jude was about heroin, you know, advocating heroin and things. And, well, I'll tell you the story of Hey Jude.
Okay.
It was at the time when John and Cynthia Lennon were breaking up, and they had a little boy called Julian. And Paul was driving out to John's house, and he was just thinking about Julian, about the breakup, what happens to the child. And he started singing this song, but it was Hey Jude.
Right.
Don't make it bad, take a sad song and make it better. And then he thought, well, that's a bit too personal, so he made it Jude. And that's the story. Nothing to do with heroin or anything bad, eh?
Yeah, everybody looked for drug lyrics
Sure.
after Paul came out and said,
Yeah.
I've tried a certain drug and
Sure.
this and that, and especially in Sgt. Pepper, people were up
They
for
never
it.
advocated drugs at all, you know. It's personal choice after all, but
As long as we were talking about Hey Jude, no reason why we shouldn't play it.
that's what I would call tasty music, Ken.
My favorite Beatle tune of all time. There are so many tunes that the Beatles, well, here we go with a little feedback, but that's cool. Because anytime you hear Hey Jude, it doesn't matter what's going on, it just puts you in such an up mood. And we are getting some feedback here. And we're okay. Okay, Beatles made a videotape of Hey Jude. And you were just telling me something about that I think was kind of interesting.
Oh, Billy.
Yeah.
Billy was a drunk that used to walk around Soho, doing magical mystery toys, he didn't do anything in the theatre. He used to walk around there with a bottle of wine in his head and a red carnation. And he was really one of the characters, a lot of characters around there. But he came to this session in Twickenham Studios, and he got on the mic one time saying, John, you still love Cynthia? And John was saying, get him off, before he says something else.
Incredible. Getting back to the videotape, the Beatles, a lot of times, especially for the Ed Sullivan Show, either made films or videotapes of a couple of tunes in order to get some exposure, I suppose, or just to do a favor to Ed.
If they weren't performing, you know, if they were going on a tour somewhere, like we went to Australia, you know, a video cassette for the tune to be released in England.
But what I was trying to get at, the Beatles didn't perform after 1966. They claimed, or at least this is what I read, that they couldn't possibly perform the material on stage. Do you think that they could have? I mean, I've seen groups today such as, well, from England, 10cc, do an incredible show, and they are incredibly complex, too.
I'm sure the Beatles could now.
Yeah.
The
The technology is advanced
the
so
whole thing's
much.
changed. I'm glad I got off the road when I did,
Yeah.
because the equipment I carried in those days was not that much, you know. It was basically guitar amp, bass amp, you know, rhythm guitar amp, and drums. It was nothing complex. But
Yeah.
now there's tons of equipment with lights and
I can remember reading years ago, I think it was a Chuck Berry album. This recording was made on an Ampex 6116 machine, one track. You know, that was it, one take. We do have a call, and you're on the air on KCSN with Ken Doyle and Mal Evans.
Hi, Mal. This is Rip.
Hi, Rip.
Hey, I got a question. You said that you were not a performer. Is that right? You're musically inclined, but you're not a performer.
I'd love to be a performer, but unfortunately, at the moment, I'm not. But I do have secret plans to make an album.
Very good. I have a question. Didn't you play the anvil in Maxwell's Silver
Yes,
Hand?
indeed, yes.
In your
The other thing
performance?
was, on the film, it's out of sync because we used a different sound take to the one we did with the film, so it's slightly out of sync. It looks as though I don't keep time too well.
I was wondering about that.
That's what we did.
And a question, it's kind of trite. Do you think there's any one song that captures the finest qualities of all four Beatles?
One song for me, I think my favourite song, that's why I did it with the Keith Moon album, was In My Life. I think that's my all-time favourite. Just there's something magic about it, you know?
If I might interject here a second, Mal, what's your favorite album, if there is one?
Album?
Yeah, as a whole.
Pepper, I guess.
Yeah.
Pepper. Yeah, I'm biased, of course, towards that one. But that was a time when, personally, they were at their peak with each other and the music, I feel. Revolver album was lovely, too.
Incredible album.
Can't remember the track of that. I played organ on. I don't remember.
Go ahead, Rip. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No problem. There was quite a jump between Rubber Soul and Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, but particularly between Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, and perhaps that's because Sgt. Pepper was more of a concept album, but is there anything more to that jump?
It was the lifestyles changed a little at the time. But it was just a growing up process again,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
They didn't experience different things that they hadn't done before, which influenced their music.
Mm-hmm.
Say no more.
Well, all right.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Rip.
Bye-bye.
I do believe we have another call, and we are checking on that right now. The numbers here are 885-3089, 885-3090. If you would like to say hello to Mal, ask him a question about the Beatles, you may do so. Is that a call? It is a call. Good afternoon. You're on the air on KCSN with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle.
Yeah, I got a question for Mal. Do you still keep in touch with the Beatles? You do?
Yes, I do indeed, yeah. George?
What are their feelings with the past? Do they remember?
Oh, we reminisce about the past. You wouldn't believe. It's like, let me take you down memory lane every time we meet. You know, George and Ringo were recently in town, and we went over a few times, and we hang out. And I've just been speaking to Paul over the weekend. And it's always that thing, because I shared the Beatles as a whole entity. I also shared a lot of trips with them individually, like films with Ringo, and I went on safari with Paul, you know, so I've got a lot of individual things we can reminisce about. And it's always, do you remember this, do you remember that? It's nice. I think everybody does that, don't they?
Yeah, no, the rumors about a reunion, I personally don't think they'll ever happen for a long time.
I don't think it'll happen for a while, no.
But
It
sure be nice if they sure did.
sure, if wishes make dreams come true.
Yeah, what's the problem with that? It's just that they too much going commercially for each one of them individually, or just that they just never
It's
get
that,
around
and
to
it's also a personal thing, and they've just got to get together, you know.
it? Yeah, John and Paul, they don't do they?
They get on, each of them get on fine with each other.
They still keep in touch all
Sure. We had a house on the beach at Santa Monica at the beginning of last year where John was living with Ringo and Keith Moon and Harry Nilsson, and Paul used to come over every day and hang out, and it was fine, really nice. So they do get on individually very well.
That's something I like that.
But musically they've gone apart a little, you know.
They're just, I guess they're still growing, huh?
So I'm sure there'll be a nice blend of whatever they do if they get together.
Sure would. I'll be looking forward.
Oh, you and me both.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. We have another call. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Ken Doyle and Mal Evans on KCSN.
Hi.
Hi.
Mel.
Yes. What's your name?
Larry.
Larry, how are you?
Yes. Do you know if they'll release any live stuff?
No.
No.
None of the Beatles. There isn't any in the can sort of thing. I think a lot of groups do record more than they release, but the Beatles, there may be odd tracks that's not finished, you know, but there's nothing really in the can, as you say.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Thank you.
And we do have yet another call. We do not have another call. The numbers are 885-3089, 885-3090 if you'd like to say something to Mel.
Talk to me.
Talk to me, right. A track that, or an album that is just an incredible album, which was another step progressively for the Beatles, I think, was Revolver, and one of the tracks off that was Good Day Sunshine. And we will get to that right after we get to this call. Good afternoon, you're on the air with Ken Doyle and Mal Evans on KCSN.
Yeah, I'd like to ask kind of a question. What was the Beatles' favorite song they ever did, or Paul McCartney's rather, that they ever did all together?
I have no idea of their personal choices offhand. No. I think it changes over the years, you know.
Yeah, and how come they never released a live session of recording? Like at Chase Stadium, how come they never...
It wasn't good enough. They were perfectionists in their own right, you know, in their own field. And that was the reason, I think, basically, that they wouldn't release something. We recorded the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't up to their standards, you know.
That's okay. How could... There's a lot of bootlegs, you know.
Oh, sure there are.
How do you get a hold of something like that? Because now they're kind of collector's items.
I have no idea. I couldn't really have to get hold of them. We've been trying to stop them, you know. I mean, when they did shows in the early days, there were always thousands of microphones around, you know, tape recorders, people in the audience. It's very hard to stop it.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
You know.
Okay, I think at that time, there weren't many live albums released. I don't think we were probably technically able to do it, but nobody was willing to go out and try to do that at all. And speaking of Revolver, as we did before, here's Good Day Sunshine.
And every time we started an album, they were like gods first night. First day back at school. Oh, they were really nervous, you know, because they hadn't played together for a while. And it meant so much to them. And we'd try and start 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'd say, let's finish at 12. Let's keep it regular hours, right? So the first couple of nights, they finished about 12. And then the following nights, they'd be really hot and cooking, you know, in the studio, so they'd go until 3, so we start later. Eventually it'd end up where we start 7, 8 o'clock at night and finish it. They always had good intentions.
Irregular hours.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a call. Good afternoon, you're on the air with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle on KCSN.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question about the so-called hoax of Paul's death. It's okay.
Good.
Okay. Well, was it planned way ahead of time? Like the little clues?
No, we didn't. Do you know how hard it is to make an album? It's very hard to make an album, get a cover together. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears going into doing that. It's so hard to do it straight. It's very difficult to put little tricks in and play tricks on the public. And they weren't into that at all. They were too busy making music. And from what I heard, it was somebody in America, a college student who wrote a thesis on. He got an idea, let's prove Paul's dead.
Right.
And I met one guy in London one time, and he had a whole portfolio of these things that point towards Paul being dead. Remember the car on Abbey Road, 28F?
28F, and
Right.
Paul didn't have his shoes on.
I spent 2 hours trying to get rid of that car at the shop. You know, so we never planned any of those things. And he has his shoes off in the studio, he's comfortable.
And the Black Carnation.
And we set the shot up in the road, you know.
Right.
And when it's time to do it, we say, right, fellas, they take 5 minutes off, they walk across the road a couple of times and take the right picture you pick, you know.
Right.
The one they picked was walking away from EMI, so people said, they're putting EMI there.
Remember the
Black Carnation.
yeah, everybody else was wearing the red one, but Paul had the Black Carnation.
Well, the florist just sent so many red carnations, and when it came for Paul to put one on, there was only a black one left. It wasn't planned.
Sure sold a lot of records, though.
Oh, I don't know. It's,
It certainly kept the Beatles in the limelight.
Sure, but it was none of it true, you know. I mean, they had Paul dying in '63, so whoever took his place did a great job, didn't he?
Do you remember they took all different kinds of voice graphs and everything, and they said, no, that definitely is not Paul. It's certainly a different octave that he usually sings, and incredible amounts of material.
That's his voice programming.
And then there, of course, the Strawberry Fields at the end.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, oh, sure, I knew. Nobody could ever believe it, but then again...
Oh, a lot of people
like
did. I spent, as I say, this guy with a portfolio in London, I spent in the local pub about 3 hours with him going over all these details, and he wouldn't believe it. But the following morning, on my desk was this portfolio with a little note saying, you're right, Mal. Thanks.
Yeah, it looks like it's planned, all the little clues that, it made sense, but...
Can you think of anything that we haven't talked about?
Oh, the little clues?
Yeah.
On Sergeant Pepper, he's wearing some kind of a sleeve that says, like, officially pronounced dead or something.
Oh, that's Ontario Police Department. The badge he's wearing, you know.
The thing and they point and...
No, when they were on tour, they used to collect all sorts of hats and badges and get presents, and they had a badge craze at one time, and that OPD was the Ontario Police Department badge.
Also on the back, isn't he the only one that has his back turned on the back of that?
He was acting the go. You know, they do all sorts of things, you know, and it just happened to be they see a dozen photographs for the back sleeve, and they happen to like that one with his back to him.
Remember people doing all sorts of crazy things like playing all their records backwards.
And there's supposed to be a grave in front of the album.
Right.
We all had our own personal items taken from home on the album. I've got in the right-hand corner a little fat soldier that's a flower vase on the front. He's on guard duty with the Central. And John's got a couple of stone heads of it. You know, everybody made it a personal cover.
Right.
He says, shaking his hands around.
And I got another question about John. He had a son from his first marriage.
Yes, Julian.
Does he keep in touch with his son?
Sure does. He came over. We went to Disneyland 5 times in 1 week last year. John was over here and his son came out and took him to Disneyland every day.
He's not a great Beatles fan? He likes the music? Or
Oh, yes, he does. Yeah, I love his dad and his music.
How about his wife, Cynthia, his ex-wife? What is she?
What does she what?
Where is she living? Is she married?
Oh, she lives in London. She's married, living in
I'd
London.
like to move.
Yeah, she's married, living in London. Very happy. Very nice, quiet lady. I like them all.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's 17 minutes before the hour of 7 o'clock, meaning that we have 17 minutes left. And our numbers here, 885-3089, 885-3090. Good afternoon, you're on the air with No You're Not Yet. Not quite, huh? I thought we had them. Do the Beatles have respect for each other's musical tastes at the moment?
It varies a little. You know, John always accused Paul of making music.
Yeah, more pop-natured than the rest.
But you can't beat record sales, can you? They're the greatest yardstick for it. And yet they're false in a way, I suppose.
Obviously.
I've always thought that, you know, really good music sometimes doesn't make it up the charts, but I like Paul's music.
In the case of Paul's music, I think it's incredible.
But it's personal taste, you know.
You don't sell a lot of schlocky stuff when you got an $8 million contract.
No, you don't.
Okay, we do have a call. Good afternoon, you're on the air with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle on KCSN.
Good afternoon. I was wondering what Mal Evans and Neil Aspinall are doing with their lives now.
Well, at the moment, I'm starting to produce a group called Natural Gas. We've been in the recording studio the last week. They're a beautiful group. It's Joey Mullins, one of the guitarists from Badfinger, which I used to produce in the old days. Jerry Shirley, the drummer from Humble Pie, and a couple of other people. Really nice band. And they're in the process of getting contracts together with a recording company. And I'm writing a book.
Speaking of Badfinger, wasn't Paul's brother in that group?
No. He was in a group called Scaffold, which is like a sort of comedy group.
And he has recently just released an album, hasn't he?
With Paul's brother.
Yeah.
I didn't know. No, I've been locked away for 5 months writing a book.
Yeah, I believe Paul wrote a bunch of the songs on the album. It's been released. I don't even think that we have it, as a matter of fact. But somebody's coming up with it at this moment.
Did you ever hear from Neil Aspinall?
Yes, Neil was in town a couple of weeks ago, and we spent a lot of time together.
Did you meet at the Cavern?
Yes, we went to the Cavern. Actually, the first time I ever worked for the Beatles was January '63, and Neil was at a session at the Cavern. I was a bouncer part-time there, because I was such a fan of theirs. I was going down so often that George said, "Hey man, you're big and ugly enough, why don't you become a bouncer and get paid and you get into the band room, meet the bands?" So I was working there that night, and Neil had a terrible cold. He had the flu or something, and he asked me if I'd drive him down to London. And it was snowing heavy and everything, and I took time off from work and drove him down to London for like 4 days, and then I joined them in August '63.
And one last question, what are your personal views of the chances of the Beatles ever doing anything again to ever, whether it is producing an album or a concert or anything in the way of that?
Well, the four of them together.
Do you see any future in that?
Well, the only comment I can make on that is, while the four of them are alive, or the four of them are dead, then there's still a chance.
Okay, thank you.
You know.
Thank you very much. Our number is 885-3089, 885-3090. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle on KCSN.
Yeah, my name is Ray.
Hello, Ray.
Hello, Ray.
And I just want to tell you, I was one of the biggest Beatles fans around.
I'm 6'3". I'm one of the biggest Beatles fans.
Well, I was going to ask the same question. Is there any possibility the Beatles ever get back together?
No, the same answer. You know, it's we all wish it, and if we all pray a little harder, maybe it'll happen. But there's nothing in the immediate future. They've all got individual plans.
What is the real reason why they break up?
Well, they broke up.
That's it, huh?
It was the real reason they broke up. Is that what you're asking?
It wasn't the guy heard because John and Paul didn't get along together or something.
No, it was the music was starting to go in different directions, and as I said earlier, there was not enough room in the group for the individual talents.
Was it true that Ringo liked country westerns?
Oh yeah, he
Did
and
he?
I were great country western fans.
Well, how come he's not doing any country? He's doing rock and roll still.
Well, he did a country album.
Oh, did he?
He did a whole country album in Nashville, yes.
Oh.
Pete Drake on steel guitar. It was lovely. Very nice. I don't know how well it did. I don't think it did that good, but...
How long were you with the Beatles? How long?
11 years.
11 years.
From 63 till the end of last year.
Were you there when Pete Best was there?
Yes. Well, no, I wasn't working for the group when P. Best was there. I was a fan of theirs then. And I was working at the Cavern the night that Ringo played his first session with the Beatles. And poor old George ended up with a bloody nose from one of the Pete Best fans.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot. And I think the Beatles' best album I like is Beatles' second album.
Yeah?
That's one I like. I got all their albums they made.
Oh,
Every
great.
one.
Well,
What's
keep your
about
fingers
20 of
crossed.
them?
Keep your fingers crossed that we get together.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Okay, see you
Nice
later.
to talk
Take it
to you.
easy.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you.
We've got about 10 and a half minutes left, 885-3089 and 885-3090, if you have some last-minute questions. We were just speaking about country music, and I was wondering how country music or country rock has really been prevalent lately, especially, on the West Coast here. I was wondering how that kind of music goes down in England.
Oh, there's a hardcore of country fans in England. They do shows in London.
How do bands like the Eagles and, say, Ozark Mountain Daredevils and things go?
It's a bit hard for me to judge because I've been in Los Angeles for 2 years. So I'm a little out of touch with what's happening in England.
I thought it was kind of strange that the Eagles...
The funny thing was that in England, I've heard, ever since I can remember, each year was going to be the year for country music.
Yeah.
It's going to make it this year. But it never really, it's big.
It's so hard because the
Liverpool
core...
was a big country town because it was a seaport. You used to get the American records coming in with the sailors and everything.
It's kind of funny that the Eagles and the Ozark Mountain Daredevils each recorded several albums over in England, and now a bunch of the English...
Well, that was always funny because the Beatles always wanted to come and record over here, and the American groups always wanted to go and record in England.
And that's happening now with a lot of English talent coming over here, especially in Los Angeles for some reason. Is there any kind of pattern developed?
It's pretty nice to record in Los Angeles. You've got nice weather for this time of year.
But the facilities couldn't...
I think the facilities in good studios are basically the same.
Okay. We do have a call. Good afternoon. You're on the air on KCSN.
Hi, I'm sorry for calling again.
Okay.
That's okay.
Larry. I'd like to say thank you for having this show.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I wish it was 5 hours long.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
Let me mention, though, that Laura Gross already has interviewed Mal. This took place a couple of weeks ago. And sometime after the first of the year, we're going to put it all together with some music, and you'll be able to hear that, too.
Oh, good.
I'd like to say it now, the Beatles are my favorite subject. I mean, I can talk for hours now. Well, the book's going to be 11 years, living with the Beatles.
A lot of experience.
Living, loving, and...
Yeah.
with the Beatles.
Lucky.
It's very lucky. I met a lot of nice people over those years. A lot of people try to use you, but every now and again you meet somebody who liked me for myself, and that made it all worthwhile.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Have you ever been to a concert where the audience went completely bananas
Yeah?
and they, completely rushed the stage
Sure.
and they had to...
Sure, we sure did. I remember one in particular. It was a Cow Palace in San Francisco, and we were like an hour late arriving for the show, and I normally look after the security, check that out, and we didn't have a chance. And apart from that, I was the only time I was been drinking on the job. We'd had 3 days off in LA partying, and it was chaos.
Yeah.
We were
Was that the first show?
The first show, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely chaotic. It was a bit frightening, you know, because individually the fans loved them and give them so much over the years in the way of presents and things and buying their records. But en masse, they're a bit frightening. So much love can be very dangerous and damaging if they get too near you, you know. So it's always been a problem, security.
Yeah.
One time in Chicago, we were coming out of the hotel ready to go to the show, and there was a young girl in the crowd of people outside the door. She had a handcuff on one wrist and was just about to slap it on Paul's wrist, and I got her in time. It's a pretty novel way of getting tied to Paul.
Fans of the peculiar things. Thank you very much for calling.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, our numbers once again, we do have 5 minutes left. 885-3089. 885-3090. And we do have some music coming up if you'd like to hear it. We were speaking of peculiar things that fans do, the handcuffs, trying to handcuff Paul. Were there any other particular instances where fans have become rather, not abusive, but inventive?
I can't think of any offhand. That was the one that stuck out in my mind. It came to mind then.
Uh-huh.
But they tried all sorts of tricks to get into hotels and things. You know. And you have to be very careful because, you know, fans are taboo. You know, the nice young people, they get carried away with the moment.
Right.
So you have to look after the fans. I mean, the security wasn't just for the Beatles. Half the time it was for the fans
protection
themselves.
of the fans
you know?
themselves, sure.
I mean, in Dallas one time, we had a young girl go through the plate glass doors of the hotel. You know, it was very dangerous at times.
We have a couple of more calls, and we only have a couple of more minutes, so we might as well get you on. Good afternoon, you're on the air with Ken Doyle and Mal Evans on KCSN.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Mel. This
Hi.
is Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. You know, it almost goes without saying in the course of this program that, of course, the Beatles were the big thing in the 60s, and before that, in the 50s, we had Elvis.
Elvis forever.
Right. Well, I was just wondering if you had any kind of opinions about who you think might become the really big superstar or superstars of the 70s.
Natural gas. they're a beautiful group. You're going to love them. They're nice-looking people. They're nice boys, and they play really good music.
Good rock and roll music,
Good
right?
rock and roll music, yeah, it's beautiful.
Natural gas, that is.
Natural
I
gas.
I expected that answer.
Put natural gas in your tank.
The new slogan, put a tiger in your tank, we'll put natural gas in your tank.
Yes, I'll remember to do that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, you're on the air with Ken Doyle and Mal Evans, I think.
Okay, did you say Paul was in Los Angeles?
Is this a young lady on the line?
At last, our second.
I got laryngitis.
Ah, what's your name, love?
Julianne.
Hello, Julianne.
Okay, did you say Paul's in Los Angeles?
He left this afternoon.
Oh, I never know when he's... Okay.
Didn't you feel the vibe sort of leave Los Angeles? He was here just for the weekend, then passing back to London.
Okay, did you say... Does Ringo live here?
No, he lives, they all live in, in England.
John doesn't live here.
No, except for John, I was going to say, lives in New York. But they all come out here and they have houses, they rent houses, you know, stay for a while.
Okay, also, I realized that, Paul, the initials of his wife and children are the last names of the Beatles, are the initials of the Beatles' last names, LHMS. It's also Linda, Heather, Stella, and Mary. Lennon McCartney, Harrison Stone.
Oh, amazing.
He didn't plan it, did he?
It's fancy you thinking that of?
He didn't plan it, did he?
No, I'm sure he didn't.
Oh,
It's another one of those things that just work out, you know. Like my initials are ME, and I've always thought, that's me. And any time it says that's me, they always talk about me, you see.
Did his children, do they go to... What kind of school do they go to? Are they tutors or something?
Who?
Paul's children.
Paul's children. They travel with him a lot.
Do they have a tutor or something, or do they just not go to school?
I don't know, really. I'm sure they must have a tutor, but they're all... There's only one of them, really. Heather's the oldest. I'm sure she gets schooling. It's pretty compulsory in England, you know. Kids have to go to school.
Okay, thank you for calling. We do have one more call we got to get in. And good afternoon, you're on the air on KCSN with Mal Evans and Ken Doyle.
Yes, how many Beatles were there?
How many Beatles were there? There was 4 Beatles.
Originally.
The 4. Oh, originally, very, very originally. You're talking about Stu, the bass player that died. There was 5.
How'd he die?
I think he had a brain hemorrhage. When they went to Hamburg one time, he was with a group, and they all came back to England. He stayed and married a German girl, and unfortunately died of a brain hemorrhage.
Okay, we've got to get going. So, I guess the only thing to me to say is thank you very much, Mal, for showing up.
Ken. Oh,
And
it's a pleasure.
anytime you want to come back, of course, you are certainly welcome. And folks, the book should be out in August. It's titled 200 Miles to Go, significance of which is...
There's the distance between Liverpool and London.
Right. Okay. So Mal Evans, our guest today on Full Circle. Thank you for calling.
Bless you all.
All of you, and we'll see you next week.